In the 1st century AD, Rome's insatiable thirst for conquest created an empire that covered large parts of northern Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. From its capital city, the emperors ruled over their new subjects with an iron fist. The River Rhine, which runs through the middle of the modern-day country of the Netherlands, was the northern part of the Roman border, known as the limes. The Romans reinforced this natural border by building fortresses along it. For most people, life was peaceful under the new administration. But there were some, especially the Batavians, a local tribe living in the Rhine Delta, who were dissatisfied. In the year 69, while Rome was occupied in a dispute over the throne, the Batavians revolted and managed to defeat the Romans and destroy their fortresses along the Rhine. But when General Vespasian emerged as a victor and became the new emperor, the revolt was brutally crushed by newly sent legions. Many Batavians surrendered or ran. Some escaped successfully, others were captured. The authorities in Rome have no mercy for those who took up arms. For them, there were only two options: death or slavery. Fortunately, he has had no leading role in the revolt. The Romans would have crucified him. But maybe he would have been better off dead. Vetera, currently Xanten in Germany, has suffered enormously during the revolt. Here, he was sold as a slave. All his rights and even his name were taken from him. The life of a slave is uncertain and humiliating. Your life is not your own anymore. But it could be worse. Much worse. His buyer is a lanista, the owner of a gladiator school. He doesn't care about revolutions. He only sees a good fighter. Proper material for the arena. His home now is the Ludus, the place where gladiators live and train. From now on, he will have to fight for his life at his master's whim. Life in the gladiator school was tough, but it did have its perks. He was taken good care of, for he was an expensive investment. Food was not a problem, since they fed him well. For good muscles, he was given lots of barley, so many gladiators were called hordeari, or barley eaters. Studies of skeletons have shown bone ash was added to the food to stimulate strong and supple bones. For drink, there was either water or watered-down wine. The Ludus has a small training area. The instructors are called doctores or magistri. They are ex-gladiators themselves. It takes 6 months to train a tyro, a novice, for his first fight. The tyros train with wooden swords. Depending on their skills, they will be assigned an armatura, a speciality in either weapons or fighting style. Different gladiators fight with different weapons. Today, he receives a new name, the name he will either become famous for or die with. From now on, he is Flammer the Gladiator. The Medicus is part of the Lannister staff. Well-trained gladiators are very valuable, so they are kept in peak condition. After every fight, experienced medics stand by to administer the best possible care. Flesh wounds and broken bones can be treated very effectively, but against internal injuries, the doctors are pretty much helpless. But mostly, the Medicus will treat the so-called training accidents. In Roman cities, gladiator fights are organized in the emperor's honor by the richest men in town. This way, these patricians can show the people how rich and powerful they are. They also hope to influence elections. That's why this patrician, in his role as editor Munieris, master of the games, decides what will be shown in the arena. He wants the best gladiators in town. So he summons the Lannister and gives him a first down payment. Later, his secretaries will draw up a precise contract, since a good gladiator is more expensive than a poor one. And a dead gladiator costs more than a live one that can fight another day. Often, an editor only grants mercy to avoid extra costs. He, with his power over life and death, is of course the true star of the arena. Flammer knows about all of this, but there is little he can do about it. He is a gladiator now, and he already has quite a score of victories to his name. He is successful and celebrated, but his success is bitter. His master still owns his life. The only thing he can do is pray to his goddess Nemesis to grant him victory or a painless death. He has no choice. Time and time again, he has to enter the arena to fight. And today, after a fierce battle, he has won again. But this time, life has a surprise in store for him. The patrician who paid for the games, the editor Munieris, has the right to release a gladiator from the arena. This makes him very popular, but is going to cost him a great deal of money, for he will have to compensate the Lannister for his loss of a profitable fighter. The editor releases the gladiator by handing him a wooden sword, the rudis. He does this, of course, in the arena, so all can see his generosity. Receiving a wooden sword is the ultimate reward for a gladiator. From this moment on, he is no longer a slave. He is nearly overwhelmed. he is free again. Free! But now what? Though Flammer may be free, he is also poor. A released slave is less than dirt in Roman society, and a released gladiator is even less than that. He has nothing to go back to, and the only trade he has ever learnt is killing. The only thing he can do is become an auctoratus, a gladiator of free will. He swears the Lannister loyalty till death with the traditional oath, the Sacramentum Gladiatorium. This time he isn't sold, he sells himself. That's so much worse. The Lannister is content. He was compensated for his loss, and yet he once again owns Flammer. For 2 years now, Flammer has been a professional and a successful gladiator. He made a lot of money, but he has also been lucky. Very lucky. And chances are, his luck will run out. This time, he will have to fight an old acquaintance, Xerxes, the man he once injured. This man has trained with him and knows all his tricks. This is his most dangerous adversary ever. Gladiator fights were fights with strict rules and regulations, and not the savage affairs Hollywood often shows. An umpire, the Summa Rudis, made sure it was a fair fight. He carried a stick as badge of office. This he could use to separate the fighters and stop the fight. These umpires were also trainers and often ex-gladiators themselves. They knew all the tricks in the book. This time he has lost. With an extended arm, he begs for mercy. He knows what is expected of him. With both hands, he takes hold of Xerxes' leg. With the knife in his neck, he awaits the audience's judgment. His death could be seconds away. Despite his loss, the gods ruled in his favor. The audience has not forgotten his earlier triumphs. He gets to live. But he knows this was his last fight. The loss of an eye puts an end to his career as a gladiator. Those days are far behind him now. As a professional gladiator, he has won a lot of money, enough to buy his master's school. He has become what he once hated, and he makes a lot of money from it. He survived and prospered. He was lucky. But for every gladiator who survived the arena, many died. many who never lived long enough to receive a wooden sword. Over 600 years, thousands of men fought in arenas spread across an immense empire. Honored as heroes, despised as slaves, yet braver than most, gladiators.